like to call the meeting to order. And welcome. And now we just have to approve the agenda. So if somebody would like to
I'll do that.
Barry and Jeremy, all those in favor of approving the agenda, please? Yeah. Carried.
Yes.
Carried, carried, and carried. All right. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest, et cetera, or nature? Oh, good morning, Patty. Welcome. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest?
Not here.
No. No? Okay, then all good there. And approval of the minutes from the February meeting. Is there anybody who would like to say that we can approve those minutes?
I approve them. They look good to me.
All right, Patty and,
I'll second it.
all right, Barry, all in favor of approval of the minutes? Looks carried. Thank you. Now, business arising from the minutes. Village Green update. I have no idea why that's there. Anybody want to?
In your last meeting, you guys had passed a motion to acquire a Village Green update. I believe, Linda, you might have sent an email around.
Oh, I was, yeah, I did. I sent an email to Stuart Lazier. And he was just saying that they're hoping to have everything finished by a specific date, but I mean, let's hope. I mean, we really don't know until it's finished, is my humble opinion. I mean, when you look in there, they've certainly done a fair bit of work.
There was a bit of a description in the Echo.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, there was. Yes. Yeah.
And it looks interesting. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But it is looking good.
Can I ask something? I've got my hand up and I haven't written on anything on my card, Barry, but anyway.
Okay.
All right, Patty?
Yeah, I think that this should be an ongoing dialogue, or I believe that in our last meeting, we discussed approaching them concerning the business interruption that's being caused and our inability to book anything until we're certain that they're going to be open.
Well, I will pass that on to Stuart and ask if, and ask if he can just keep us updated, but
that's too passive, I think, for what we need to do. I really have an idea that a letter needs to be drafted. So why didn't I do that? I'll draft a letter to them outlining what the situation is for us, and then I'll send it to you, Linda, and you can edit it.
You can send it to me, and then we'll have to approve the letter at the next meeting. The board would have to approve it.
Does that sound reasonable then?
Sure.
Because I think we need to approach them in a professional way.
Jeremy is talking here. Yes, Jeremy.
No, I'm just curious, Patty, like what interruption do you expect? They're not in the parking lot right now. So I'm not sure if we're raising an issue before it's even an issue. It's a good, comment perhaps, but I'm not sure if you want to get it too, too accentuated, but what is the point?
Okay, thank you for asking, Jeremy. Well, historically, the weddings were a high level of revenue to the station on the green. Last year, and part of that is the overflow outside for pictures in the garden, the lovely gardens. The unfortunate circumstances of having the area torn up disrupted the ability for us to host weddings, even if they were of the smallest type. A wedding you could have held a wedding in summer last year of 25 people. And the station on the green is a perfect venue for that. So now we're getting more inquiries. I am personally at my own place for people that want to host outdoor events or small weddings that couldn't get married last year, or they're planning on doing something that's appropriate for the COVID protocol of the time, but still they can reserve the place for $250. They can hold the date in anticipation of being able to have their wedding at the station. However, we're not in a position to accept anything right now because of the disruption of the construction of the area. So whether they can park or not, they still don't have that beautiful horticultural contribution until the completion of their station. So I'm going to craft something in that way and ask them if we could, let's look at the budget and our revenue from the past years for weddings. And let's approach them and ask them if they would be willing to contribute, reimburse us for that lost revenue. It's a simple question. It's a reasonable question, I think.
All right, we've got 2 questions here coming. Per?
I
Like
gotta
Jeremy
take this.
moments ago, I think Patty's idea is a good one, but I don't know if we should bother to say anything to them until such time as we actually are interrupted in earnings. We're just going to cause disharmony between the two.
Yeah.
And we're not able to open the station. So until we're actually, as long as we're united on what front to take the moment, we can no longer take bookings. I think we should adopt that status, but keep your idea in mind, Patty.
Anthony, your comment?
Well, I agree with Kara there. And also, nowhere in our rental we offer park as part of the rental or any other part of town. So I don't think we really have a leg to stand on. We offer the station as the building, that's it, as a rental. Whether they take their pictures in our park, their own park, or wherever, it's up to them. That's not.
Brian, you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just trying to go back through the records here because I did an analysis probably 2, maybe 3 years ago on our rentals and percentages of the rental revenue that we got from various types of rentals. And it seems to me that our biggest rental users are the long-term ones. We talk about weddings a lot, and we always refer to weddings, but weddings actually was a very small percentage of our rental revenue, which was surprising. I was trying to find the document. I have it somewhere in my laptop, but I would agree with what Jeremy has said and Per, both that when the time comes, we should look at maybe doing that because it makes sense if we're losing revenue that we could be getting and they're responsible, then okay. But as it stands right now, we're not even open. And I don't see the point of poking them right now about that. And particularly, it was a surprisingly small percentage of our actual revenue for rentals. And we did have discussions about how we get more weddings to the station in terms of marketing and promotion. And that might be a discussion that we should have as well. So that's my 2 cents.
So right now, Patty, if we took a vote, I have a feeling that right now everybody is saying just hold back. If you would like to make a motion, and if there's a seconder and we could have a vote, that would be fine.
Well, I understand and I accept everyone's view about poking the bear before it's time. But to respond to Anthony, I've been involved in marketing the station on the green just in a very social media related way. But in all of our pitch, we've always referred to the beautiful horticultural gardens that are included in a wedding experience. And in my mind, what Brian said, I remember that meeting very clearly, and I'm thinking that it came at less at 20% of revenue compared to the long-term rental people. But it is an opportunity, and maybe at the other side, when we're finally through, this new Village Green will enhance our ability to increase wedding revenue. But right now, maybe we should just stand back and wait and see.
And Barry, you got the request to speak up there.
Yeah, so I can't even speak right this morning. What I was going to suggest is Patty could write the letter, because we're not going to pass it until next meeting anyway. So she could write the letter, we put it on the agenda for next month, and we see if it's an appropriate time or not. If the letter's written, and then it's written, and then we can wait and see at the next meeting whether it's an appropriate time to forward it or not. But if the letter gets written and done, then at least it's done, and we can decide when we want to issue that letter. Just a suggestion.
All right, does something like that require a motion? I'm asking.
No, you're pre-planning. So when it's brought forward and the group agrees on it, and that's when you could pass a motion.
All right, then Patty, if you're up for that, feel free, write the letter, pass it on, not just to me, pass it on to the entire board.
Okay.
And then we will be able to discuss it at the next meeting, and it will be one of our agenda items.
Okay.
I'm going to call for a point of order here.
Yes, sir.
Patty, do not send it to everybody. Send it to the
Oh.
chair. If you send an email to everybody, then that could be considered an in-camera meeting. If it gets sent to everybody, where if you send it to Linda, and Linda sends it, but if we send it to everybody, then that's considered a quorum, and that's considered an in-camera meeting that wasn't open to the public. So
Okay, so then if it gets sent to me, and then if it's on the agenda, then does everybody then have to get a
Yeah.
copy of the letter? So
Correct.
you do it in that
so
way.
So it can go out with the agenda.
All right, thank you. Then Patty, would you
Just
do
thought
that?
I'd clarify
Thank
that.
you. Thank you very much. We shall do it that way then. Thank you.
Little bit of
See,
bureaucracy.
Kayla, I'm clerking everything up for you.
You're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, Tom, did you want to say something?
No, just bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
I know.
All right, now, the next item on the agenda is a rental report. And it's there partly because we have had a rental request for a wedding for next February. Like, this person is looking at more than one location.
Right.
It has been that we got the information by way of the Echo. It's the first real request that we've had for any kind of anything like that. And all of the information has gone through Debbie Hill. She has looked into it. Now, she has emailed back and forth to the person who has shown an interest. And the update I can give you is that Debbie offered to meet the person and tour the person through the station. And Debbie has not heard back from this person as yet. So there has been, some back and forth, but not a great deal. But Debbie is on it. And she is kindly dealing, looking into it, but that is the only item there. And that we have that's come up. And, everything else is just on hold. But so that was just for information. And the next item we have here is exterior update quote. So I take that as Tom and Pear.
Can I make a comment about the wedding inquiry?
Yes.
Okay. So it's interesting. It should follow into this discussion. I guess is there going to be a standardized response to inquiry created by Debbie for, saving her some time, a template of an inquiry or something, a standard inquiry? Has she got a system in place? I guess the question is there a system?
Yeah, that's coming farther into the agenda. So yeah, we will be discussing that.
All right, thank you.
All right, so again, that exterior update, Tom Pear, I'm assuming this is talking about Mr. Rocky.
Yes, I think we discussed at our last meeting. Tom mentioned that we met with Mr. Rocky, who has since provided a quote, which included in the minutes. But I should also make you aware that I have had no less than 5 contacts with Kerry Elliott in an effort to get a quote from him. He had expressed interest throughout all 5 meetings until the last moment when he said he wasn't interested. He mentioned he didn't have WSIB, and I said how we had helped Mr. Rocky walk through the WSIB process, for which he garnered the WSIB to qualify for the work. Whether I never got to that stage with Kerry Elliott, he just said he wasn't in.
Okay.
So that's the exterior painting. I think it still needs to be done. If we're going to have a brand new garden, as Patty said earlier, wedding photos and what have you, we should have our exterior cladding looking tip top as well, in my opinion, but that's up to the board.
Well, the other issue there, of course, is the fact is, can we actually afford it? And that's the other problem we're facing when you look at what Brian said.
Yeah. That's something the board will have to decide. My purpose was simply mine and Tom's to provide an overall view of what we need on the outside of the building to maintain it.
It's a big budget item.
It's
Sorry,
a huge
Tom, I had
budget
said
item.
the reason
Yeah,
we started this was the many architectural buttresses that exist on this building. They are the prime design for the whole building. They're the ones that need the maintenance more so than the board and batten siding. But they represent such a large part of the overall design of the station that if you let it deteriorate, you'll lose the vision that was had for that building.
oh, absolutely. And I'm looking at Mr. Rocky's quote right now. It's $11,900. Brian, what's the word on money?
You want to do the financial report right now?
Can you just, well, we know how much the quote is. So you want to wait? Well, the financial report is next on the agenda. So if there's some other people who want to talk, Anthony, you were up first.
If any time we want to coordinate with Village Green, this might be the issue. First of all, painting shouldn't even be done till they're finished their construction, and maybe have their people who are painting their buildings coordinate with Station on the Green with same colors and saying this might be the opportunity to join forces here, and maybe they can bear some of the cost too.
Mary?
Yes, I'm going to call on Kayla. Kayla, maybe you can advise us that, is it not correct that procurement policy for Clearview is anything over $5,000? Is it 5 or 10, but requires an absolute second quote?
5,000 requires an absolute second.
Quote, yeah. So we can't go on one quote. We have to get another quote anyways.
Yeah, Barry, I don't think the purpose for getting this quote was to get Mr. Rocky to do the actual work, but rather just to have an understanding of what kind of money are we talking.
Right.
Of course, if we proceed with doing the work, we would get additional quotes to be sure.
Okay. Thanks for that, Per.
So are we just sort of leaving it out there for the time being again?
I like what Anthony suggested. That this is
I
an
agree.
opportunity.
I agree. I think that was a good point that Anthony made. I think there may be some value in color coordinating the green with the station. And in that same process, they will have the painters and we might actually get a better price if they share the cost. So I think that's something that we should also look into before we make a final decision down the road.
But mind you, all we're looking at is painting those, whatever you call them, buttresses or what have you. Remember, those things are all, they're the same color as any of the siding that's there. And we weren't looking at changing that color or doing anything there because they don't need painting. So in effect, when you're talking that, you're not just talking about painting those buttresses, you're talking about, you'd have to deal with all of the siding as well, if we did that, right?
Could be looking at doing a total repaint of the walls as well as those buttresses. And of course, it'll all depend on what's in the bank, but I think that's something we should look into as well. I think that was a good point from Anthony.
Anthony, got another comment?
Isn't that quote for the whole building, or is it just for
No.
it's just for the buttresses to clean them up and paint them?
No, it's the quote, it is the entire building.
Okay,
Oh, is it? Oh, I just assumed it was the buttresses because that's all we were looking into.
I thought that was a lot.
Oh, the reason why we have everything included is that the buttresses comprise 90 to 95% of the actual work. The board and batten sidings is nothing.
Oh, all right, thank you.
So it's a fresh
Very
paint up for
much.
the whole building. Okay.
So it's painting for the whole building. All right, is there, well, is there anybody who would like to take that on as in talking to Stuart Lazier? And going with this and mentioning it?
I think Anthony should. He suggested it.
I'm not a big fan.
Well, I can do it. I can let Stuart know that we're looking at this, but that we would be looking to coordinate. What you're basically saying is that we want to coordinate.
Where'd she go? Are you still there, Linda?
She comes back with Stuart
I'm right
Lazier.
Yeah.
That's right, with a hook around his neck.
I was ready to call 911.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry, I'm having back issues today. I can't stay seated. I'm up and down, up and down. So I
Yeah.
just got a sore back.
Linda, you are in correspondence with Stuart, aren't you?
Yeah, I do correspond with him. I do have a phone number for him. I do have emails for him. And I could just mention that we're looking at repainting all of the wood surfaces of the village green. I mean, of the station. We're wondering what their plans are for the village green and just find out, I don't know, what else can I do is find out information, or should I just go be blunt
I'll
and say,
just,
would you like to pay for it, please?
you know.
Yeah.
Coordinate a
Yeah.
project together.
I think we need a sales pitch, not a teacher's directive.
Yeah.
All right, who's a good salesperson then? Yes, Brian.
There's Brian.
Brian's
Linda, I would approach it with Stuart by saying that the board has discussed the need to maintain and paint the buttresses. And it's something that we don't want, and it's for maintenance. And but in that discussion, we realized that you're going to be doing the same in the green. And was there an opportunity there for us to coordinate colors and also getting the work done? And then out of that discussion, you could lead into sharing the cost.
bingo.
I think the term is enjoy synergy.
Yes.
Yeah. Win-win.
Yeah, enjoy synergies, yeah.
Good pitch, good pitch. So there you go. Just have to put that on paper and send it to Linda and she can forward it on behalf of the board. When her back's feeling better. I guess she's,
Here, I'm here. I'm just moving over a bit. I'm writing.
yeah, well, okay, well, that's good. You can still hear us then. So, okay,
Send me what you said and I will contact Stuart.
I
Do
think.
we don't need to vote on any of this, do we?
No,
No.
no, you're just contacting, getting information.
I think what Brian said is very true, that, we need to craft a script for you. Because it's more about synergy, as Jeremy said. We're looking at an opportunity to share the cost so that the entire place, the entire area, when they open the village green, the station on the green, everything is, ready for prime time. So, I think that it just makes total sense that we approach them to see what they're doing and to piggyback on their contracts for painting.
You want
Do our
to play
best.
rough. If you
Sounds like a
wanted-
plan. Anthony?
If you wanted to play rough too, you could actually get them to clean the building after they're done their construction. They could at least, if you wanted to get into things, because there will be dirt and dust and it will be all over our building.
Very
especially
good
fire
point.
services.
That's kind of the hammer.
Especially with the west wind,
Mm.
wind coming from the west, it will be all over the building, believe me.
Yeah.
Until they get the grass laid down and we can finish the little dust. It will be
That's
dirt.
probably for a second conversation, perhaps.
And
I
it
wouldn't
has to be
wait
clean
for that
before
part,
it's painted.
I wouldn't throw that right at them right away,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But it would have to be clean before it was painted anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there's part of it too. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what we can come up with. Brian and I'll work on that a bit. And now,
Good.
do I have to get my letter or my comments to Stuart approved by the board before I communicate with him?
Just a discussion.
Yeah,
Okay. I will do that then. I have sort of set up a back and forth with Stuart. So we can try. All right, anything else there before we go on to the financial report? Okay, Brian, all yours.
All right, so the financial report that I've sent out is based on my records only. So far I have not got the bank statement for February, let alone March.
Why, by the way?
I don't know. I used to get, they were used to be mailed to me directly. Now I get a copy sent from the township. They've gotten slower and slower, and I think it's probably because not everyone's there right now. If Kayla, you could look into that for me, I would appreciate it. It's hard to do a report each month when I don't have the bank statements. However, I know what we spend because I'm writing the checks, and I know what we get in automatically because I do get those mailed to me directly, such as the TDMS and the EPCOR things. I have not been getting Enbridge gas again I used to, and now suddenly I don't. I think Terry Vashon got one bill, and I've tried to reach Enbridge gas, and all you get is a voicemail telling you there's no one to talk to. So I don't know. At any rate, what you see in front of you is what I know that's come in and has gone out. So going through it, well, we paid Debbie Hill $278.75. That's the $200 a month for the walkthrough, and the $78.75 for her workers' insurance. The HST is what we pay. It's recoverable, but it's recovered by the township, not by us. So it's an expense to us. However, Any HST coming into us from EPCOR, for example, we get to keep that. The township hasn't asked for it. The loan payment, same every month. Now, we renewed our domain name, 1695. That will keep our name on the internet, so no one else can take it. And it's not very much. It's a good price for the year. I think it's for the year. It might be longer. I'm not sure. The water bill comes in every second month. Enbridge Gas, this was a calculation based on an average, because I have not received bills for December or February or March. So that was an estimate for those 3 months based on past history. So it could be a little higher, could be a little lower, I'm not sure, till I get bank statements. EPCOR, we paid $96.65. We received $143.06 in February. I have not received the amount for this month yet. I will probably get it by the end of the month or the beginning of April. But we will have received money that will be higher than what we pay out. Our average over the last 2 years has been $561.20 a month from the solar panels. And that's our main source of income right now. And then the Rogers, the phone, the internet, and the 365 office amounts are there for a total expense for the month for $1,387.24. This doesn't show revenue coming in, but we are spending more than we're taking in. And I edited that amount to $1,087.24 by factoring in the Enbridge revenue that I'm estimating we would have received in March. It will likely already be in our bank account. It's just that I can't even go online and see the bank account. I used to be able to do that, and they obviously don't trust me, so that's fine. So our current projected bank balance based on my records is $10,352.57. And given the rate that we are bleeding, we have 10 remaining months. In 10 months' time, we will be down to 0. So we've got most of a year ahead of us here. So hopefully at some point we can start getting some rental income coming in, but when that's going to be is anybody's guess. But that's sort of the picture as it stands right now. And I also included, I called it a capital budget, but these are items that we've been talking about and we need to bear them in mind. We still have Lana's bequest of $5,000 in that 10,000 amount. We have an estimate for the painting, and we have estimates on the entrance door. That's the lowest estimate that I put in. There's actually 2 other estimates I see, but there's $25,000 plus in capital expenses that we're not on. We don't have to pay that right now, but it's something we've been talking about. And if we get to the point where we have the money in the bank again, we're going to be looking at spending that money. So it's just there to bear in mind, to kind of see the total picture of what we're looking at. And there's something I want to bring up to the board, but before I do, are there any questions?
Oh, Jeremy? Jeremy, your hand's up.
Yeah, Brian, in talking about trust, I have been entrusted with $500 that I have sitting on my dresser, 5 $100 bills that I don't know how to get to you, which were the proceeds of the sale of the pumps. And we have another $500 is what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
Great.
that's good. It's good to hear.
Now,
I'll call you, Jeremy, and we'll work something out so I can put it in the bank.
Yeah,
So so when you say this capital budget, so the 25,357, if I'm reading this properly, yeah, 57, but that's looking at 2 expenses and 1 bequest, right?
Right.
So like in effect with Lana's bequest, we do have an additional $5,000, right?
That's included in the 10,000.
Oh, is that included in 10,000? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I better look at that then. Sorry, I didn't realize that. All right, so we are like, basically, we're in financial
Stress.
purgatory, working towards the other end, because we can't afford to do anything.
No.
So we wait.
And we can't do anything, but
We
at least,
can't do a darn thing.
at
we
least we
can't
know
do
how
it.
much these things are gonna cost, right? When we finally have to do it. But I think that our situation is not unlike most of Canada right now. And I think we need to just wait till the Station on the Green project gets going. This is something that could be, part of what they are doing to the center of town. They need washrooms. Their entire design is based on a theme based on our building. So I've never been able to see why we couldn't, as we can keep going. We need synergy. We need to wait until we see what's going to happen. But it's really great that you guys have got all these prices, but we can't afford to do anything, and we shouldn't do anything.
We can just sit here and that's about it right now. We can have plans, but that's it.
Yeah.
Tom?
We're not on hold because of the construction, so we're on hold because of COVID.
That's right.
Yeah, so we
We
can't do
are.
anything anyway.
We cannot do anything until COVID is through and we can start getting back to normal.
Right.
That's all there is to it. So, yes, Brian.
Okay, so I have a question.
Oh, goody.
But it's of the board. So what I put there is what I call a capital budget. It's really just a listing of the items that we've discussed, big ticket items. But I'm thinking that I'm going to suggest that the board form a subcommittee of myself and 1 or 2 others. And the others would be people who have a knowledge of maintenance items, of things and how they work and how they need to be maintained and or replaced. That we sit down and take a look at a long-term capital maintenance budget, so that and a long-term horizon, say maybe 10 years, the next 10 years at least, if not a little longer, and list all the items that will need to be maintained or fixed over that period of time. We know that the station will need to be painted at some point. We know we're looking at some form of keyless entry and maybe something to do with the doors, replace them or whatever. There may be items in the grounds that need to be done. There may be plumbing items. There may be electrical items. The roof, the shingling on the roof, for example, I believe that's probably original shingling, and the lifespan of most roofs are 20, 25 years before they need to be reshingled.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it might be a good exercise if we sat down, worked through all the items that might need maintaining, repair, or replacement over the next period of time, and we choose the years, whether it's 10 years or 15 years, to get a picture of the expenses that we're going to have to cover. And then when we get back to normal, whatever that looks like, and revenue starts to flow again, we can bear that in mind when new spending items come up, that we know, well, okay, we have to do this, and it's on our capital budget forecast, and this is something we have the money now to pay for, or we put it on hold for a while or whatever. But it would help us in terms of our long-term planning. As opposed to just going forward and then discovering one day there's a leak in the roof and we need to reshingle and it's going to cost $10,000 or $15,000 to do that.
I think that is a great idea, Brian, and hopefully there are a couple of people here who are good. And when you're doing it, by the way, whoever your group is, look at the kitchen. Big time. But anyway,
Well, that's
who
the
is
thing.
interested?
It could be the stove or the fridges could wear out, the dishwasher. I don't know what their lifespan is. I know dishwashers, they say if you're lucky, 7 years. So that kind of thing we should have in the books in terms of planning.
All right, who is available to help with that? Anthony, you've got some exterior for certainly, yes? Anthony?
Yes.
And
Barry's on mute. Barry's speaking.
Gary?
Sorry, didn't realize that was on me. Yeah, I'll help with that, yeah.
So there's,
Me, Ray, and Brian will work if that's okay.
okay, so
Personally, I
Anthony,
think we're at that-
Barry,
at that
and
point already.
Brian. Does that sound good to all of you?
Sure. Mhm.
Go for it.
We could have a Zoom meeting. Whoa.
Oh, jeepers, our
I
favorite
think we
thing.
need to be on site, actually. We can.
I
Yes.
think you do too. I think you
agree.
have to be on site and go in. And literally, I do want you to go into the kitchen too, please, because there's gonna be some expenses there. I know, I'm sure there will be expenses there as you're going through. So look at it and see what you can come up with. Jeremy?
Yeah, just Brian, on that HST, you know what? It seems unreasonable to me that I realize that the town gets it back, but why wouldn't we get that back? Because like that adds 13% to all of our capital budgets, right? And it doesn't seem reasonable, you know, that the town would get a kickback on, or the reduction, and yet we don't get to enjoy it. So is that something we can pursue with them to see if it can't be pushed back to us?
Well,
Jeremy,
sorry.
sorry, Jeremy, I was just gonna say, you can't go to town council and use words like kickback.
Oh, right, sorry. Sorry.
You might recall a few years back, we got a bill from the township because any HST that we collected through revenue from the rentals and from the EPCOR electricity, that's money that's actually to be passed on to the government and or
Yes.
calculated against any HST recovery that you might get.
Yeah.
And
It's
we
not our money. Yeah.
from the township saying we owed them some $1,000 in HST revenue. And I remember going back through the records to try to verify the amount. And then we were told, no, you don't have to pay that. The township is picking that up. And so any HST revenue that we received simply became part of our revenue. The HST that we pay, I'm assuming that part of that deal was that rather than paying them the HST we received, they were going to cover that off. We just passed on any HST that we paid and didn't request the recovery. But maybe Barry can find out where that stands, whether there's any chance of getting that recovery or not. Right, Jeremy, it is a fair amount of money. It's, 5% of the, half of the GST back and you get 8% of the, 82% of the PST back, so.
So if I can say so, first thing we have to realize is the HST is not our money and it's not the township's money. It's the government's money, right? So it's actually not our money. It's being held in trust. So what we do is we're submitting the HST so are we actually submitting the HST, Brian, or are we just giving them numbers to use? Do we actually submit a payment to them of the HST that we collected?
No, the HST that we collect remains in our bank account.
Right.
they did send it's probably 2-3 years ago, they sent, it might have been 3 now. They sent a request for an amount of money, which was in the thousands of HST.
I remember that,
only.
yeah.
Yes, and that was, oh my goodness, okay, well, that's going to hit our bank account. And then we were told, no, you're not expected to pay that. The township is going to cover that off. So any HST we've received has stayed in our bank account, and the township has covered that off with the government.
But the township's using the credit of the HST when they file their HST returns.
That's correct. They'd have to
They're
balance
using
that.
the credit. So we're keeping the money, but they're using the credit. So there's nothing to come back to us. It's
Yeah.
right. It's just when they're submitting their HST return, they're saying, here's, and they're, all the HST collected, everything throughout the, that they've had to pay out gets credited against what they have to pay. So
That's on income, Barry. But what about on expense? Like I understand what you're saying on the income side, but on the expenditure side.
So what?
Well,
Barry-
that's what I'm saying. They would be using the expenditure side. They would be using our expenditure side to go against their credits. As a credit, sorry. They would use the expenditure side as a credit. Yeah, we're still keeping the money.
Yeah, see, we are in a way receiving the credit because we keep the HST that comes to us. We're
Right.
not passing it on to the government.
That's right.
The township is doing that, and the township balances that against any credits they would get. So
Yeah.
I've simply seen it as, all right, we're keeping the HST. That's our, I don't have to apply for the credit for that. And we continue to pay the HST on the expense side. And I didn't want to turn that stone over in case it came back at us. Okay, now you've got to pass on the HST you're receiving.
So we're good. So basically you're saying we're good
Yeah,
with all of this. That is great. Is
Yes,
there
I'm
anything else?
happy to review it with Kelly. I'm happy to review it with Kelly. But my question to you, Brian, is, are we submitting the HST on our expenses to the township? Is the township actually using the HST we pay on expenses? Are they using that as a credit? Because they should be.
I break it out on our expenses. I break out the cost plus the HST. So the HST is a separate account line, so they see that.
So they see that. Okay.
They have that information.
So they
Right.
can do what they choose, basically.
Yeah.
All right, is there anything else on the financial side?
Not for me, other than I will get in touch with Anthony and Barry, and it's not a rush to do this, but I think it's something that we should be doing, and then we can come back with a report to the board either in the April or the May meeting.
Great.
Definitely
you.
need to look at that route for sure. So,
And no, so that would be it for the financial?
I just have a point of order before we move on from the financial.
Yes, ma'am.
We will need a resolution to create that subcommittee.
Oh, wonderful.
So I
I'll
have a resolution that reads, be it resolved that the Creemore Station on the Green Board hereby create a capital budget subcommittee comprised of Brian Bell, Anthony Sis, Deputy Mayor Brock, and Jeremy Ray.
No pair, or Anthony.
Anthony,
Anthony and Barry.
there's only three of us. It's Brian, me, and Anthony. There's not four of us. There's only three of us.
Okay,
I will move that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Please. Carried.
thank you.
Now we're going on to, well, we've got here building and landscaping, but when you go down to current and new business, we're going to be talking about building and landscaping, but so can we just go into current new business at this point? Yes, Tom.
I'm just gonna say about the roof, wasn't it replaced when the solar panels were put on?
Yes, because there was something, we had to do something to the roof to allow the solar panels to be put on, if I'm correct.
So
I
they're
was
not
thinking
original.
that too. So
I'm
they're
not a-
not, I don't believe they're original, but I'm not 100%, but I think you're right. I think we did. If I can remember. Yes,
Linda, who would know that? Would it be Paul Rupel or who?
it would be Paul or Bill McDougall. I'll give Bill a call just to double check.
All right.
Because I think Bill would, and then if he doesn't know, then I'd go to Paul. And,
Bill should know when it was done, yeah.
Hmm?
Bill should know, he'll be able to tell
Yeah.
you.
he will know, he's been around, re-roof replacement for solar panels. I will check with that and send on the information to you. All right. Now, our lovely water issue that we're having these days, or we were having. I did talk to Bill McDougall. And he said that every few years, the water freezes in some of the pipes in the kitchen. So what happened this year is not unusual. It has happened. But they never had a freeze in the bathroom before, which we have this time. So we have, so when you're looking in there, we've got the temperature up in the entire station at 20 and we've left it there. And we've also turned the heaters on in both the men and women's washrooms. And the entry hallway too, because we just didn't want to do anything. It would be incredibly expensive to change the system because, and apparently a while ago, Bill told me that they did redirect some of the pipes to the wall in the large storage area near the water heater. So they did actually redirect some of the pipes. And they did make a hole in the wall under the shelving in the small storage area off the kitchen beside the bathroom, small bathroom. So they did a little bit or what they could do. But apparently the way the plumbing is put into that building is not the best way possible. Like, I mean, it's basically the pipes are up in the roof. Basically, and that's one of the reasons why we're having this problem this year. And it was the long extended freeze time and really cold time, and that's why we're there. So in effect, we can see this happening on a regular basis. And so the smart thing would be to try to remember if we know we're coming, in winter, I know it costs some money, but it's a lot cheaper than having things burst. We may just have to get the temperature up until to around 20 for an extended period of time so that it keeps things okay. Per?
If you can identify the piping that is suspect to freezing, it's a relatively simple and inexpensive fix to wrap a Pyrotenax wire around it, and that would keep it from freezing.
Well, you may be perfectly correct, and I don't know.
Does that,
Does anybody have the expertise to understand, know whether we could just do that? Because you see, it's not just the pipe underneath the sink. I think a lot of the freeze is actually happening up high where you can't wrap it, but I could be wrong.
I mean, if we can get access to it, it means, yeah, I mean, wrapping the pipes is easy. I would probably suggest putting the foam insulation around it rather than the electrical wire, because it's going to end up being buried. So that would be my recommendation. But, how do we get access to the pipe? If that's one thing Jeremy
That's the problem.
and I had talked about, is cutting a small hole in the wall to see what direction the pipe is going. Especially
Because
from,
there's, yeah.
there's, I understand it's coming from the top down, but from the top down to get over to the other sinks, is it coming from the top down or is it going through the wall? That was the one thing Jeremy and I were unable to determine unless we cut a hole to see where it's going. Right, Jeremy?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, just a minute. Say that again, because you know what? So is the water coming from the top down?
Well, we know it is at some point coming from the top down. But
Yeah,
once
but then what?
it's in the kitchen, Is the other side, the sink and the dishwasher, are they fed from the top down, or is that fed through the wall? And we don't know, and we won't know until we cut a little hole. You know, and we need to cut a 6 by 8.
Well, we may know,
Bill may know, yeah.
we could know, because possibly Bill McDougal had explored
Yeah.
that at some point in
Yeah, he
time.
might know that. Yeah, if he
Alright,
would know
Anthony?
that answer, that would be. Because it wouldn't be, if it's, what I'm saying is, and Jeremy and I talked about this, if we knew it was running linear in the wall, it wouldn't be that big of a deal to cut out a stretch of drywall, wrap the pipes with insulation and put the drywall back in, not that big of a deal. You know, we have to tape it, it's behind, it's all behind the cupboards and all that stuff. So, you know, that's it.
Anthony?
It's not that big of a deal if that's all we need to do, but it's, until we know exactly where those pipes are running, it's hard to
Exactly.
Anthony?
anything.
Yes. I'm wondering, is there any way to get original drawings from the building? Because it won't tell us where the pipes are, but it will tell us a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Before we start breaking into anything or.
Alright, get original plans.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna make a few calls on that one too.
So, Anthony,
Plans for building?
what we were talking about was where the pipe comes through the wall and to feed the sink where the freezing happened. Okay, all we're doing is talking about cutting a hole that big, the size of that,
I know.
so we can see where it's going. That's all.
But
We
but
will-
what if the freeze is up above, up
Well,
high?
Oh,
There's a lot to learn just from the original drawing.
Tom?
yeah, the original drawings must have blueprints of where it's gone and how they put it in, the plumbing.
You would hope so.
It won't show the piping, but it will show everything that we need to know before we.
Why wouldn't it show the piping?
Plumbers go wherever they possibly can. There's never a plan for plumbing.
Okay.
Goody.
Cut a hole in the
Ryan?
wall then.
Hill,
Ryan?
downhill.
Yeah, so I think what Per is talking about, it's not, I don't think it's the foam insulation he's referring to. My understanding of the foam is simply you wrap your hot water pipes to keep the water reasonably warm. So you're not wasting the heat that's in the water. But it's the pyro line that you use to winterize your plumbing. For example, if you're at your cottage and you have a water line down to the lake, you use that pyro line to keep that water line hot. And it keeps the water that's in it from freezing. And that's outdoors. If it's 20 below outdoors, that water pipe it would be 20 below, but the pyrotechnic line keeps it warm. And I think that is what Per is referring to, that you can put that on the water line. It will actually heat the water. And if you may not have to wrap the whole water line through the ceiling. You may only have to do certain parts that will keep that water reasonably warm and keep it from freezing at least. I don't know. Is that what you meant, Per?
Eric?
Yeah, that is basically what a pyrotechnics line is. But to Anthony's mentioning of drawings, I had a set of drawings originally when we were looking at the closed circuit TV. When I finished that project, I turned it back into somebody on the board. So I no longer have it. We do have a set of drawings. And like Anthony says, they will tell us a lot. They don't show the piping nor the electrical, I believe, but they will show us a lot. So I agree with Anthony. We should locate those drawings. And I think what we should do before debating this ad infinitum, we should try to identify through our records, maybe Bill, where is the suspect piping that we're talking about? If that means cutting a small hole in the wall, so be it. But we need to identify where the problem is so we can know the extent of the nature of the remedy prepared.
Well, remember the taps that weren't working, the water wasn't working. I can't remember what was I think it was the hot water wasn't working at the main sink in the kitchen. It wasn't working on the one little sink, when you first come into the kitchen door on the right, there's that one small sink. It wasn't working. Then later on, at some point, those things started to work as we got everything heated up, but then the other little sink stopped working. And then the other sink that went was in the ladies' room. They're pretty far
Linda?
apart. Yes,
Linda, we're debating it ad infinitum again. We identify on a map where the problems are, and maybe with a plumber.
we'll
We
see what we
can-
can do on that. I'm gonna start with Bill and see what we can find out. Tom?
That's exactly what I was going to suggest, Bill McDougall. He's tackled this problem before.
Yes, he
And
has.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he might know where they are.
I know. Yeah, so I'm gonna talk to him again and see what we get. Now,
Yeah.
oh, sorry. Can we move on to booking agent expenses?
Yeah.
We now have a new booking agent. As you know, Debbie is taking this on. Right now, she is not being asked to be paid anything for anything because so far there really isn't much to book. I mean, there's nothing going on. She's looking into this one wedding. And I asked her, I said to her, I said, would you at least keep track of the time you spend on this, please? She said, don't worry about it. This is nothing. So this is Debbie. She's doing well. But the information I am getting, I've been working a little bit with Donna Bayless, who has worked on our, when you
Website.
go into Creemore Village on the green and you get the website, like the website is having some issues, by the way, but Donna she's done a couple of things without charging us any money, which is nice. But anyway, the one thing that we should be doing, and I think we could do it with not too much expense, according to Debbie, she should have a separate laptop computer that is just for the booking for the station. And then as booking agents change, the computer can move to the next booking agent. So it would be kind of a future, for it, but we would have to get a laptop. And this way we can also keep everything separate from Debbie's information. Like, so she's not dealing with stuff personally with her own personal phone number, her own personal web, her own personal email address. And then the other thing that Donna was talking about is something I am not terribly familiar with, but she said that there's a central phone service that can be done. And then that way Debbie doesn't have to on the website put her phone number. See, right now, everything on the website is the Echo. So then she wouldn't have to put her personal phone number on there. And it would be, and then somehow you can have somebody dealing with it. And again, this part I truthfully do not understand. But it would be a way of keeping Debbie's personal information separate from the website. Pear?
So we didn't discuss Jeremy's project with respect to the door, which requires a computer. We had previously discussed Huronia Alarms system, which also required a computer. Why don't we hold off on a decision for a separate computer for Our Lady to use for bookings until we decide on whether we're getting a door where we will get a computer as part of the program?
I know, but it would still be a separate computer, Pear.
Okay, can
I
I say
believe,
something?
But anyway, and I'm sorry, but Jeremy, I did jump over you because in building and landscaping, we should be talking about that door. And I know we've all seen the information that has been sent on from that company. So did you have any further comment on that?
No, other than they're both on hold. One looking into, a better solution, cheaper solution, and the one that we know from the local builder that could do it, including the PC. So no, they're both on hold, no change.
And and as for Debbie suggests that she could probably get a laptop for a couple of $100s. And you're saying, Per, that the same laptop could be used for the door eventually, but
No,
Per?
But maybe then we should coordinate with the person who's going to supply the door, whoever it's going to be, find out what that computer is and buy that computer now for her to use so that we can integrate that into the system once we decide to move ahead with the door.
Barry?
Yeah, so I just sent an email off to our technical support people asking if there's a spare computer kicking around over at Township. I'm sure there's spare computers sitting around that we don't have to go buy one. I could be wrong, but I would suspect there is the odd spare computer sitting there, and McLeana could set it all up. We can rely on their technical support. She could set up the program for us and everything else, and then all Deb has to do is use it. So
And
we have
that
the
would
tech.
be, and that would be terrific, because I think right now, I think it would be a good idea to get Debbie working on that. And now, does anybody understand this information about a phone line?
yeah,
I did send it to you, but it is out of my understanding. Did
Which-
anybody understand it? Brian?
I'm just going to say, we're already paying for a phone at the station with Rogers. Is there any way of having call forwarding put in so that they can simply phone the station phone number and it rings on her cell phone?
Well, that's an interesting idea. I don't know, but does anybody know? Barry?
Yeah, so I have, with my business, I have a 1-888 number. And it's like peanuts, because I only get charged for the actual calls that come in. So it's not a monthly fee. So my 188 number, and I get people from Toronto, I get people from all over Canada calling on it. And my bill is typically $6, $7. It's peanuts. And I only get charged for what I have. And then I just have it call forwarded to my cell phone. Because I used to have a Toronto number, and I had a number up here, and I had like 3 different business numbers, and I just got rid of them because I got tired of paying a ton of money. And so everything just comes in on the 188 number, and it just rings automatically through to, you just forward it. You just decide what phone you want it to ring to. And it,
So
and
what
it
is
does it.
this 188 number? Is it actually a place, or is it a,
No, it's well, 18, you know what a 1-800 number is.
yes?
So it's a toll-free number. So 188 is the same thing. They just ran out of 800s. So now their 188 numbers are 877 numbers. So they're toll-free numbers that people can call. So it's not located anywhere. It's just a service that Bell offers. You have that that number, and you just tell Bell where you want it to ring to. So people call that. So mine, I just had mine all set up so everything comes to my cell phone, my business cell phone now. So instead of having umpteen different phones in different locations.
So this is something that Debbie could actually set up.
It's easy enough. It's a matter of calling
Mhm.
Bell and say we want this.
To
Yeah.
her cell.
Yeah.
And
So-
it would be a 188 number that would be attached basically to the station on the green.
Yes, correct.
So
any
then
of
that
our,
would also, that number would have to be on our website, of course.
and so if anybody wants to contact her anywhere, it's a 188 number. Sometimes it's 188, sometimes it's 1877. The old ones were 1800, but they ran out of 800 numbers, so now they're into the 877s.
Yeah. Brian?
Can I
Yeah,
say something?
it's called
I've
a
had my hand up for a little bit. I wanted
Oh,
to.
sorry, Patty, I couldn't see it.
I was waiting for you to, at this point, I was like, a topic had passed. And it's regarding buying all these computers that everybody seems to need. With Donna, she knows about Google Drive and sharing files. And with the cloud, you don't need to buy all these computers. All you need to do is have these files on universal cloud and limit the numbers of people that have access to it. So Donna can create that. She did it before when she was on the board in order to share the maintenance list, the contact list, everything should still be there. And, policies and, you
Well,
can.
this is Donna's suggestion, Patty. She knows about all of that. But she said that for the booking, there should be a separate laptop computer, period. And she said that is her suggestion. That is Donna's suggestion. Not mine, not Patty's, it's Donna's. Donna prepared
Back
all of
out of it, back out of it and get somebody else. Like, let's go to the township and see what they would say, because we don't need to keep buying all these laptops. What happens when people leave the employment? They get pissed off and they take them with, or they don't own them, then they have no skin in the game and they're not respectful of it. And it's hard to keep control. I've worked in big companies with designing software. So
Well, that's why Patty, I've already sent an email off 5 minutes ago to our tech people, because I'm sure there's computers kicking around that township can provide us with a computer that we don't have to.
Yeah, great. So so let's assume, can I assume that the lady that was hired to be the booking agent doesn't have a computer?
She has a computer, it's just not having her personal email address sent out there. So it's a way of having just something that's separate from her own, that does not, so that nobody has her personal address. It was just a way of keeping it separate.
I have my personal computer, and then I have my own township computer. I have my own Simcoe County computer, and I do not put township information or that on my personal computer, and frankly don't want it on my personal computer. So
Ryan,
the
So is
township
anybody
can
familiar
provide
with
us with a
Drive?
computer.
Are you not familiar with Google Drive?
I still don't want it on my computer.
But
I don't want any-
it's in the cloud.
No,
Yeah, I
Pat,
understand.
why don't we just leave that, for heaven's sakes? Like, if Barry's saying he's gonna try and procure.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's go with that right now. Brian,
But we're gonna need a computer for the booking agent. We need a computer for the security. We need a computer for the front door. Like, this doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I suggest, Penny, that one computer, our booking agent, will also be the computer that controls the locks on the doors. I mean, the one computer, she's going to be the one giving out who's
Two, Barry.
going to,
It is,
pardon me?
it would be two. One has to be there at the station for the,
But yeah, I think we need an IT, somebody who's not saying buy computers, because that's obsolete.
Yeah.
Brian,
Okay. A couple of items here. So the rental computer is one thing, and it would have, and Linda, thank you for saying that it also would control the locks on the door, the entry codes, etc. And if something happens, Debbie Hill leaves this position, we don't want it on her personal computer. Even if it's in Google Drive, she still has other things on that connected to rentals, because the records are there. She would simply pass it on to the next person. I would imagine the computer for the doors is hardwired directly to the doors, and it's not a real computer. It's just a small thing that operates the doors and will pick up the signal for the codes when people enter them. And the third thing is our account is with Rogers. So do we call Bell for this 800 number, or does Rogers offer it? And I don't know that Debbie could call Rogers.
Call Rogers and see if they offer it. Mine is with Bell because I deal with Bell. But
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think Debbie could do that, because they would ask for ID. The account's not under her name, so probably would end up either me doing it or because I have.
You just volunteered yourself, Brian.
Thank you, Barry.
Brian, would you call Rogers and find out, please?
Yes, I will. Under popular request, yes, I will.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Jeremy,
it's
I
called the
will
watch
know.
line.
Jeremy has his hand up.
Yes, I know.
okay, may I speak?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Brian, it is a dedicated computer for those doors if we go that route, and that would not be available to her to be transporting it around. So they're distinctly two devices.
Yeah.
May I ask one thing?
Actually, can I comment on Jeremy's comment, please?
Yes,
So Jeremy, I would anticipate, I could be wrong, but I would anticipate the computer for the door system would be at Station on the Green. So we
yes,
can,
that's what Jeremy just said, yes,
can I finish? Can I finish, please?
yes.
So, but we could, I would suspect we could also put the booking system on that computer, and she would have remote access to that computer from her own computer. Like I can go to any computer and access my computer. I can access my emails from anywhere in the world because I've done it. So both programs could be on the one computer, and she would be the only one who would have remote access to it. So she could sit at home, use her own computer, and go, oh, I need to get onto the computer at Station on the Green, and she just gets access to it. So I suspect one would work. I'm not an expert, so I don't know, but we would have to.
You could, if it were that application. It depends what other things she's doing, Barry. So, you know, like.
Is there any way that, have we got anybody that we could go to who is a computer expert,
Yes.
could figure all of this out for us? Because it's not me.
It's technical support at the office. It's McLeana. She's a wizard. She's a wizard. So if anybody can figure it out, she can.
All right, would you please talk to her,
Yes.
explain the scenario, find out if we can get a previously used computer for Debbie, and then find out what we can do with it. And see, right now, all we really do need for Debbie, I think, is to get her a previously used computer or an expensive computer that, and a way of getting the phone calls transferred to her without going to her home number being listed. So those are the two things I would like to see happen for her. And really, honestly, they have to happen reasonably quickly, since we are starting to get, well, as I said, we got the one request. And then that way, if we get any more, it's not Debbie dealing with her home phone number, her home computer.
Okay, can I say something now? We
Yes.
already addressed that issue, and it's simple. Excuse me, I don't think you guys know that I'm actually in Bermuda. I've got my call forwarded to my cell phone, cost me $12 a day. And I'm running businesses from here because I got stranded by Trudeau, but that's another story. So all we have to do is take the phone number for the station at the station and forward it to her cell phone. That's end of discussion. We don't need special numbers. Everybody's calling now toll free within Canada, basically, and whatever. Most programs are offering that. So I would say that that is no longer an issue. All we tell her is to call forward the phone from the station to herself. And then if she sees the number and she doesn't want to answer it, it goes to voicemail and it says, you know, if this is a message for Station on the Green, please leave a message and we'll call you back.
And that would be perfect. And I will, and that's got to be through Rogers, since that's what our phone is through at the station. So I'm going to ask Debbie to look into it, because she is reasonably techie. Let's put it this way, she's way beyond my level. So go forwarding from, and then we would have to get the station phone number to be the phone number in the website. All right. All right, I will look into that to Debbie's phone.
Yeah, Brian, all you have to do is see if we have call forwarding on the phone, because it's an option. You have to pay for it. It's not automatic. But Patty's right. Yeah, we can just call forward that phone to.
So Brian, you look into the call forwarding. We probably don't have it, would be my bet.
I don't know. I'll check right now. I'll be right back.
And now we are off to, can I say that we can go on to the next item? Is there anything we have to do here? I guess I do need a motion or something to suggest that I could allow Debbie to find it. Oh, no, we're not even doing that. So forget everything. We're just going to work with what we've got right now. So no motions required, correct? We can move
Correct.
on.
Barry's saying about a computer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm-
Barry, when you know about the
don't need a
computer,
motion
then
for
we'll
that.
know.
Yeah.
And
I'm
did
happy
everybody see that the Clearview Community Church wants us to, you know, have a contract with them as we've had in the past that will start from April 1st, 2021 through till March 31st, 2022. And they want to continue to rent. You know, I mean, they would only be paying when they can actually use it for the church, but they want to rent, and the rental rate is the same. And my question basically is, I would need somebody to make a motion saying that you approve that we do this, and that I can then sign the contract and give it to Clayton, and then they have access to the station when and only when we choose to reopen it. Like right now, we are in red. We closed it down when it was in orange. So we would have to make a decision about reopening the station for the use of the church. But right now, right now it's just a piece of paper that when when it can be reopened, then that's when they start to pay, but they really want to know that they've got it. Pear?
So as I read it, the proposal by CCC and all the terms therein, my question is, why is it not the station who offers the contract for the rental of the facility? Why is it the client that proposes the terms? Should we not just take their letterhead off and put ours on top?
Well, this is the same contract we had last time around, and for some reason, don't ask me, I don't know why, but that's what it is. And for some reason, they want it this way.
But
Brian, you looked at it. Do you have any problem?
Linda, just because that's the way it was the last time doesn't mean that's the right way.
To be honest, I hear what Pear is saying, but I don't think it doesn't matter whether a contract is a contract. It really doesn't matter who initiates the contract, as long as it's signed by both parties. The contract is the contract. I mean, it's not unusual for somebody to put in, you know, an offer to buy, an offer to rent. That often happens. So it doesn't have to be the owner or the landlord of the building who creates the contract, as long as everybody's in agreement and the contract signed. So, because it's not unusual for offers, you know, offers to lease, offers to rent, where people put in an offer.
Brian, did you have a comment?
I don't see anything within the contract that's, I mean, it looks fine to me. It's based on the previous ones. But that's a separate issue than what Pear is raising.
Yes.
I think
But
they're just basing it on what has been done previously. Which suggests to me, though, that they're keen to rent the station. And that's why they're putting it in, because they're trying to move it along so that they can get back in at some point. But I didn't have a problem with the contract itself.
And all I'm looking for, I think it's fine because, you know, they are keen. And what I would like to do is just have board approval for me to sign this contract.
So
Can I call a point of order, please?
Yes, you may.
Point of order, please. I need advice from our clerk. We're discussing a legal contract. Should we not be in camera for this? Kayla?
I'm here. You haven't really gone through. Is that something that you want to do, is go through bit by bit? What do you want to do with this legal contract? It's my understanding that Linda's just looking to continue the contract that's been in place for the past couple of years. If that's not what the board is looking, then yes, I would probably suggest an in-camera meeting to go over every item line by line.
Okay. So if we're I'll take your direction. So you're saying if we're just renewing it, we don't have to. If we're going to discuss the contract with each of them, we need to go in camera.
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. So, and I think we got to rely on Kayla's expertise on that.
So is there anybody who would like to move that this contract is acceptable and that I will sign it on behalf of the board? Moved by Anthony, seconded by Barry. All in favor? This will make them very happy. Thank you.
And us too.
Well, that.
They're good tenants.
Now, the other thing is,
Linda,
yes,
Linda,
yes,
are you our rental contact person?
I'm the one who signs it, but does somebody else want to?
I'm just throwing this out and I'm not volunteering, but I'm just throwing it out. It would be good to have a director on the board who kind of oversees the rental business. We've just discussed a number of things, the laptop, the phone, call forwarding, combos for the new doors. We have we've got keys out all over Creemore, I understand.
Yeah.
We've got to get all this set up and Debbie Hill is doing it, but should there not be a person on the board that she can report to for either direction or help on something, and that person who's on the board can bring it up at board meetings when necessary? Because right now I think it's just sort of out there and we're all discussing all these issues. Perhaps a lot of it could be streamlined if there was a director who was willing to oversee, not do the rental stuff, but just oversee it in case there's a problem, if there's a contact there and they can then bring it up with the board and have some.
I'd love to see somebody else do this, because I'm the only person that Debbie contacts right now for anything to do with it.
I'd be happy to do that. It's right up my, it's in my wheelhouse.
But, so what?
Hey, you got a volunteer?
Right now, right? She reports to Linda.
No, right now, the only person that Debbie calls right now is me. She's also had some contact with Brian. So what you're saying is that Debbie Hill's only contact would be Patty. Is that what we're suggesting?
If that's the person we're putting in charge of that, then yeah. If it's Patty, it's Patty. If it's, because you said you didn't want the job, right, Linda? Did I hear you? Did I hear you say? I thought I heard you say that. I'm sorry.
You heard me say what? That I don't want the
Yeah,
job?
you wish
of
somebody
Debbie
else
Hall?
would. You wish somebody. I thought I heard. I'm serious now. I thought I heard you say that you would prefer somebody else did that job. Did I hear that wrong?
No, I don't think I said that, but that's fine. I'm quite content to give up any job I can.
Mhm.
Anthony?
Haven't we given Debbie the authority to sign rental contracts? Like if
Well,
she's
in
gonna do the
effect, you
booking,
know, because the prices are
point.
out there. And so all she would, like, believe me, and it's been interesting trying to get the rental prices for the station to Debbie, because let me tell you, it's very confusing what's going on, because some of the information that's in the computer system at the Echo can't be moved very well at all. Like even to try to get a printout, it has become a real issue. Thank goodness that the Echo is willing to help. So in effect, the prices are all set. The person who is doing the rentals would know all of the dates and when the building is in use. It would have absolutely nothing to do with the board as such, because you see, the person who was dealing with it was Sarah, and Sarah was on the board. So it was a board member. It was Sarah. And the Echo was doing the booking. So there was always all of this information about when the building was being used, because the person like Debbie would need to know for cleaning and all of that. She is the one, but Debbie would be the one who would have or should have the whole thing sent out and would know whether the building can be rented or not, or whether there's a conflict. But yes, it would be a wonderful idea to have a board member do it. And I think that would be a fine idea. And it was nice of Patty to volunteer. Brian?
Can I call on Kayla again for advice, please? Kayla, sorry, you're earning your pay today. Kayla, are you there?
Kayla.
Kayla. Kayla, she's probably stepped away from her computer for a second.
All right, Brian, what were you going to say?
In terms of the rental agent signing the rental agreements, these are, like Sarah could sign them at the Echo because the agreements had already been set by the board and it was a standard agreement. So we'd already approved the agreement. Anyone renting would sign it themselves to be part of that contract. In terms of the church, was not the standard rental agreement, and that's why it came to the board for approval. I would think that's what was happening there. And secondly, perhaps if Debbie Hill is going to be our rental person, perhaps we should invite her to sit on the board. Is that a possibility?
Well, that's the question. Kayla, are you back? Kayla?
Sorry, I had to step out for commissioning.
Yeah, no problem. Kayla, I have a question for you.
Yes.
We're looking at having somebody who's authorized to sign the rental agreements.
Yes.
Should that be a board member who should be
Absolutely.
signing? Or can we direct our booking agent can we give that authority to our booking agent?
You can direct that authority. It's at the will of the board. I would
Right.
suggest a board member. Then you don't have to go back through this.
Right.
Could Debbie move on or what have you? That's my suggestion, but again, you are the board. I'll be right back.
Yeah, okay. So that answers, it should be a board member who signs like Debbie can organize, set them up, but it should be a board member that signs the rental agreement.
So then we can either have Patty, because she's volunteered to be the board member, or we can, as somebody else suggested, ask Debbie to be part of the board. Anthony?
Or we can give Debbie the power to.
Permission, yes.
I would assume that Debbie would have permission. I am just volunteering to be a person on the board that she can call if there's a question.
Yeah.
Or a query. I'm not taking her job over. That's
No.
not necessary and not my interest. But I mean, I book my own place. I've got a lot of experience in these kinds of things. So if it's helpful to have someone on the board that she can call rather than, all funneled to Linda, all of it, then that's simply what I volunteered to have happen. And she can call me on my home line and it goes to my cell phone wherever I am. And I have, and I can help her in whatever way, but she's going to be responsible for making commitments on behalf of the board. That's what she was hired for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's why calling and asking advice is one thing. Having somebody authorized to sign the rental agreement is something different.
Right. She doesn't have authority to sign.
She does not have the authority to sign.
We need
She
to.
doesn't. What would we have to do to give her the authority to sign?
Pass a resolution doing that, but by the recommendation of our clerk, she suggests it should be a board member rather than an independent, an independent contractor that we've hired out.
Right. Well, I've got DocuSign and I conduct my business by email and sending contracts back and forth, and they're signed remotely wherever people are. And there's a software program for that.
Right.
So,
and I do DocuSign too.
Sure. So we can have that. And then
So-
and somebody else, because a lot of these people that are booking their weddings or whatever, first of all, with COVID, it's absolutely necessary. Secondly, if people are, calling from Montreal and they want to have their wedding in Creemore, then it's necessary as well. So
I would make a suggestion that I would be willing to put forth a motion that we authorize Patty and Linda to be the signatories on rental agreements. So she could
Linda,
either,
we're not
either-
saying Debbie?
no, because she's not she's not a member of the committee. And I'm personally, I'm not in favor of making somebody who's not a member of the committee giving signing authority on behalf of the township. Because at the end of the day, the township have given us authority to represent them, but they have not given the authority for an outside person to represent them. So I
Because you
think
see,
from a legal,
for quite a while, it's been somebody at the Echo, and you know something? Sarah has not been on our board for quite a while.
well, I'm just trying to make it right. I don't care what happened in the past. I'm just trying to make it right now. And I
Sarah
feel
was
it should,
Sarah was a board member for a very
She
long
was.
time. She just had submitted her resignation just recently.
Oh, that's true. She wasn't coming, but okay.
Just
So,
back to, if I may, so back to my motion is I think we should authorize either Patty or Linda to be the signing authority for rental agreements. And
Tom?
I think that becomes sort of redundant. Why don't we just give Debbie the authority to do it? Like, isn't that one of our purposes here?
I would not support that. I would not support that from a legal point of view. The township has given us authority to represent them. They have not given Debbie the authority to do that. And if we did that, we would probably have to go to, the township to get approval because it's a legal matter, giving somebody legal authority to sign contracts.
what if
And-
what if we asked Debbie to join the board?
Well,
How's that?
we could do that, but then she's constantly going to be in a position of conflict of interest because she's an independent contractor. And she's going to be, so she would be in a position of not voting on anything because she's an
What?
independent contractor and she'd have to declare a conflict of interest 90% of the time.
What would the conflict of interest be?
She earns.
She's
money
getting
from the board.
paid as an independent contractor to look after the building.
She would have a pecuniary interest at every meeting.
Yeah, she would definitely have a pecuniary interest. Yes.
I could
Yeah.
say it.
So
This is
it's,
crap.
so I'm sorry, but I'm just, I'm just trying to protect all our butts in the township. I'm just trying to, so we
What
don't
I
end
would-
up
What
later.
I would like to
Well-
see truthfully is, all right, Patty, yes, but the other person I would like to have as a signing person personally, I was wondering about Brian because he's the money guy. He can see where everything is. He can see what the rental prices are. And he would know for sure that everything is being done appropriately monetarily.
So I would amend my motion to say Brian and Patty become the
Oh,
signature.
if Brian is in agreement.
If Patty has DocuSign, she can handle that, I think. I prefer not to. I mean, I'm going to end up doing the banking of any revenues that we get from rentals from Debbie. I'll be involved in that and keeping the financial records of that. But I think just the ongoing bookings and that, if Patty can sign it through DocuSign, then she can do it from anywhere.
Always a good idea to have two signatures, two
Tom?
people who are authorized to do it.
Yeah, it was Sarah was on the board. And
Yes,
Sarah did all the signing. Was there a
Yes.
conflict of interest there?
She declared that at every meeting,
Declared,
conflict of interest pecuniary at every meeting.
and that's all she has to do?
Well, yeah, but then once you declare it, then you can't be voting on anything. So why bother being on the board? If you're declaring a pecuniary interest, then you're excluding yourself from voting on anything.
And hence Sarah didn't attend any board meetings.
Okay, and neither would Debbie, but she still could be on the board.
Which would still have to be approved by township. It would have to be approved by council, and adding members all have to be approved by council. I'm not trying to be
there's
difficult.
all of those things to go through again. That's how we lost Donna.
There's, Yes, it's become such a legal complex thing. And I feel the frustration just like everybody else does. I mean, it's not simple anymore, but you know, we have had conflict of interest declarations. We've had people of the public having conflict of interest investigations on things that boards have done and council has done. So it's out there. People are watching and paying attention. There's people who will file a complaint for no reason at all. It's just because they like to file complaints.
And
Right, I
it-
tell you
it's-
what,
it-
then I,
It could also end up in court.
Yeah.
And it
So-
has in the past.
all right,
Is
then
it
the
from
way
a
we
le-
would do it would be Patty would be the first person that would be contacted by Debbie, and I would be the backup.
Perfect. I amend my motion back to my original motion. And Patty and Linda become the signing authorities for our rental agreement.
And as I said, Patty, are you okay with being the first on the list?
I don't mind. I didn't realize that this was going to become such a
Me
convoluted.
either.
I thought it was just simply, first of all, I don't believe that Debbie needs anybody to sign on the contract she's making on the behalf of the board. We hired her to do that job. So she's simply a booking agent and she's entering into an agreement as our agent on behalf of the board. So we don't need to sign on every document that she makes. We have a policy, she implements it. It's not necessary for us to have a signature of a board member on every document. I mean, at every tea party, come off it. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous. So let's get this into the, and then the other thing with this poor Debbie, she came in as a cleaner. Now she's a booking agent. She hasn't had a chance to really do anything since COVID. And then we're going to put her on the board. Poor dear, she doesn't get paid for it. Let's just take it down a notch. And I absolutely am not taking back my, I thought she would call me if she needed some help with quotes or whatever. And I'm more than happy to help her in that way, or be it, for the trouble call me. But I don't agree with this necessity of a board member signing on a contract to book a 3-hour celebration of life every time. Doesn't make sense to me.
If we're going to have rental agreements, somebody has to sign that contract.
And
But
she-
if we're paying somebody to be our booking agent, if we're paying a person to be our booking agent, why can't that person be the booking agent?
Because then we can, but we'll have to get it authorized by council that she has the authority. We're giving her the authority to bind the corporation of the township of Clearview. That's the reality. Whether you like it or don't like it, that's the reality. Whoever signs that contract is binding the township and binding their liability, everything. So you got to look at that from, I could just see this happening. She signs an agreement, somebody's in there, somebody trips and falls, whatever. Then somebody decides to sue the township, then the township, and then lawyers are going, well, did you have authority to sign that contract? Well, where was the motion that was passed that gave you authority? Trust me, when you get into all this legal bullshit, and that's all, sorry, I shouldn't say that, we're
And you
being,
see, we're all covered by insurance and Debbie
Yeah.
isn't. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
yeah, so what I'm saying is, if there's two problems, okay, or there's two areas that are going to create an issue. One, she's not a member of the board. So if we want her to sign and you can jump in here anytime, Kayla, if I'm wrong. So if we put forth a motion for her to sign, to be our signing authority, that will have to be approved by council. And council will have to approve that signing authority, which I suspect they would not support it. I could be wrong. And if we did that, and then if we made her a member of the board, then she would have to declare a pecuniary interest all the time. So It just makes, she's in charge of the content. She does all the booking, all the stuff, and she simply sends it to either one of you to DocuSign it, because you have the authority, you know, from the township to encumber them. Am I saying the right things there, Kayla?
Yes, I would agree. Best practice is having a board member. You've been delegated that authority from council, as Barry's saying, and I'm not aware of any other hall board or border committee that has an outside person binding these contracts.
It's just legal.
Okay,
Agent, right? This
all
is-
right, I guess we're stuck.
We are.
Okay, well, that's fine.
And
Brian?
the only other thing would be that if we hire Debbie Hill as a booking agent, it would seem to me we would need to have a contract signed with Debbie Hill outlining exactly what her powers are. So that's a legal document, but then she would also have to have insurance to cover herself in case of any problems, and that just gets out of control. But secondly,
She does have insurance, doesn't she? She's got
that's
WSIB
workers insurance, but she
compensation, yeah.
for booking, she would require liability insurance, probably $2 million worth, and that would be an added expense for us because we probably end up paying it. And the other thing is, I thought we were going to talk about booking agent expenses. I thought we were going to talk about what we were going to pay her to be the booking agent. So I would think that if we can get, Barry, if we can get a legal opinion on this from township, just as guidance, and then we need to talk about how much all of this is worth and what we're going to pay Debbie once we start renting again.
Right, so I would say our legal opinion is coming from our clerk's department because our clerk is the director of legislative services is her official title. So any opinion that Kayla gives is under the clerk's department, which is under legislative services of the corporation. I mean, we don't need to go and spend money to get a lawyer to look at, because that'll cost money we don't need to spend. But Director of Legislative Services is the title, and they are responsible to make sure our procedures for signing contracts and that are in place. And I don't think this is that complicated. All we're doing is just appointing Patty and Linda to be the signatories. The person who does all the bookings and just forwards when it's ready to be done and there's an agreement, you forward it over and get a DocuSign. It's not complicated.
Well, I don't have DocuSign, by the way. I don't know what that is. I'd have to have a piece of paper and put my name on it.
Well,
So
no,
I'm saying that's why Patty would be the first person to go to.
she would
It's
just
real.
send
I've
it
never
to
had it
us,
either, and I do it all the
and
time now.
you have an electronic signature that you just click the box and it puts your name in it and you send it
Then
back.
Linda, they send you an email, you open it and it says, please sign it. You click it and type your name in. It's real simple. It's not, you don't need a program, you don't, it's real simple.
Hey,
Trust me, if I can do it,
you can do it,
you
Linda.
can do it. Kayla, oh, sorry.
Kayla, what would you like?
So I'm happy to further consult the acting clerk on your behalf. I don't know if you want to move this as an agenda item for the next month. I believe that we have already had a resolution that Linda can enter into a contract with the community church, which is your first big rental. So that kind of takes that out if you're happy to wait for an answer from the deputy clerk, well, acting clerk.
Shall we wait for the answer from the deputy clerk?
I don't think there's any reason to, but if
Well,
if the committee wants to wait, that's fine, but to me, we've got a motion on the floor. We just.
All right, say your motion
I know what the
again.
answer is gonna be.
Say your motion.
Okay, my motion is that Patty and Linda be signing authorities for rental agreements for Station on the Green.
Is there a seconder for
simple.
that? Ryan? All in favor? We're stuck, Patty. Carried.
It's not, especially right now, it's not a really difficult task.
I know right now, but I'm not sure about in the future.
And I'll be around and happy to help. And
You'll be around once you get to leave Bermuda,
well, that's
which
right.
I wouldn't want to leave if I were you. Just stay there and enjoy.
I've had my jabs. I've had the vaccine. We're, just waiting for Air Canada.
Well, I hope it comes soon for you, whenever you need it.
Sure.
All right, now we've done the Clearview Community Church thing. Kayla?
Sorry, I may have gone out to commission, so I'm sorry if I'm coming back on another topic, but was it a resolution passed to allow Patty to be the contact person for Debbie Hill as it relates to rentals and provide updates to the board?
I don't believe, I don't think we passed did we need a resolution for that?
When we were placed, Linda and I were placed as signing authority for the board as it relates to rentals.
Yep,
Yeah,
I
we
have
were
that. That just happened. But prior to all of that, you were discussing a contact person for Debbie, somebody that can report back to the board to provide those rental updates.
Well, it can either be myself or Patty as well, if Patty is agreeable.
Sure, I'll take it off.
Jeremy,
Sure,
Jeremy, your hands up.
Linda's
Yeah, so
plate.
the question is, this is the supervisor or the person on the board who is the main contact. Okay, so is that correct, what we're talking about?
Yes,
Essentially,
that
that's
would
my
be
understanding.
Patty. That would be Patty.
For supervisor.
Yeah, so Patty, you're okay with this?
Sure.
All right, somebody move. That Patty would be Barry, and somebody second. Ryan, all in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Now, we've done the Clearview Community Church
Oh.
thing. You've allowed me to sign that document. So the other thing really is the vaccine distribution. In talking to Jen, she's not sure whether our pharmacy will be distributing COVID vaccines. But what she wanted to know ahead of time is if she would be able to use the station as she did for flu shots. If she is going to end up with the ability to distribute COVID vaccines. So I said I would come to the board and get an approval, because I think it would be a smart thing to do for the station. It's a community service. I'm suggesting no fee, and that they would be just used just as it was before. They use the small room, you go in one door, out the other door, and they would be, if this even comes about. But I want to be able to say, yes, if she finds out that she's being asked to do it, she would need an answer right away. And I would like the approval of saying yes.
I approve it.
Well, we need a motion. Now,
Well-
Brian, make the motion.
Oh, okay, well, I was prepared to make,
Question?
but I just want to make a comment before I make them, sorry, Brian. And
Okay.
I don't mean, I really don't mean to dominate this meeting like I feel I have been. Yeah, I have no problem with that, and I can completely support it. Just be aware, we're going to have to follow the protocols. We got to put the spacers on the floor. We got to do, if we do it, we have to follow the protocol that's set up, and that means hand washing stations and the whole process. Just be aware that we will have to do that. Make sure that's done and in place.
Well, I think for the
I
last
support it.
time,
I support it.
for the last time, Jen took care of all of that, so hopefully
Yep.
she would again.
Yep.
Still our responsibility to make sure it happens.
Yeah, Brian?
Yeah, just gonna say, I think Jen did do that last time, but Barry's right. We would have to make sure that's there. And I would say, yes, offer it without charge. However, since the provincial government is doing the rollout of the vaccine, they may also be providing money for the facility use. And if so, we would ask the pharmacist to pass that on to us.
Okay, Pear, you had your hand up. Pear? Pear, was your hand up?
He's frozen, I think.
No.
Oh, there he is.
No,
I think he said
no
no.
comment.
Oh, okay, I thought your hand was up. Well, I can mention the possibility, if there is any money out there for facility use.
I mean,
But
if
But
there
you
is
know,
money,
technically, what happens is when Jen did the flu shot, she certainly, probably got some money for it, but the money went to hire another pharmacist to take her place. And the money went to having somebody else with her to help
Yeah,
with the situation.
I don't know what the deal is, and it may be that it's exactly as you say, but if there is money, additional money for rental of facility use or whatever, because they may realize it's a small pharmacy, so they may realize that they may want to use another space, and they may provide money for that. And if so, that some of that be passed on to us. If not, we offer it for no charge. That's all.
Yeah, Barry?
Yeah, I hear what Brian is saying, but I'm just afraid if we ask for money or there potential, she's obviously going to get some money funded to her to do this. But I would rather us go to council and ask for money in support of this rather than expecting her to pay it. I think we just need to offer it up front. No fees, don't put any conditions on it, because I'm concerned that she goes, well, how much I don't want to get into a negotiation on it. Well, how much do you want and everything? And she's a
All
great
right.
support for our community. So my
Anybody want
suggestion.
to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we advise that the facilities would be made available if required for the inoculations for COVID. End.
Is there a seconder? Tom, all in favor? Carried.
We didn't mention the no charge bit, so
Well, we don't want to.
no, that's what I'm saying.
Lord knows
So
we need the money.
right.
So if
I just wanted to clarify
we're
that
gonna
that
make
meant
the
that no
space
charge.
available, if we just make the space available, we don't put any conditions, just like you said. I
Yep.
just
Perfect.
repeated what
That's
you
great.
said, Gary.
Thank you.
All right, is there any other business that anyone would like to bring up? Brian?
We do have call forwarding on the Rogers phone account.
Goody.
So that's there. However, we have been receiving a discount from Rogers with this business line offer, and it ends April 2nd, 2021. So as of next month, I think we're going to be paying an additional $20.59 a month for the phone line. So that's not going to break us, but we've only been paying $16.99 a month, which is about the charitable rate. But it's going to jump by $20, I think, on the April bill, or half of that in April and full amount in May. But we do have call forwarding, as well as call display, call waiting, call transfer, and all that stuff, voicemail even. So we got everything on that phone line. I don't know
So
if
then
we.
basically all we hope to get is that if we can get, like, I don't know how you institute call forwarding though. So somebody else would have to figure that part out, but we can get Donna to change the phone number, the contact in the website to the Station on the Green phone number. We would still need to see if we can get a computer from the township, and then that would then be something that we would have to give another email address for. So do we have to do anything to get, like, how do you make the phone be a call forwarding phone? What do you have to do?
You just have to go over there and do *72 and forward it. Can I ask, what is the phone number for the Station on the Green?
Huh.
Ryan?
705-466-2552.
2552. Great.
All right, now,
That's-
Patty, I'm
that's the-
sorry, when you said that, I'm sorry, is that a permanent call forwarding then?
you turn it on and off. You just go to the station and you dial the *72, and then you wait for the dial tone. Then you dial the phone number that you want to forward it to, and it rings, and then it's answered on the other end, and you just wait for 5 seconds, and then it's locked in. You would have to go back to the station to have it reversed. But obviously, if Debbie's responsible for cleaning as well as booking, this is going to be an easy job for her.
So you actually, okay, so there's no other way of, so there's no way, you see what Donna was suggesting. Is that there's a way that you dial,
Let's not complicate things. Let's do it simple.
and it just automatically goes to Debbie without all this call forwarding business and having to be over at the station and push buttons.
Well, no, it's just right now with COVID, it's going to be a one-shot deal until we're open again anyway. And then it'll be summer and everything will be normal and we'll all be in the neighborhood. And you just simply, I think that as the booking agent, it should be forwarded to her anyway.
I know, but what I'm saying is she'd have to go to the station, to the
What?
phone and
Once.
Once.
once a
Once.
day or once a
No,
week.
once.
It's
Once.
infinite until she undoes it.
Oh, okay, that's what I didn't understand. Thank you.
Once
So
you
it's
go-
infinite. All right, thank you. I appreciate that part. I told you, I'm not techie in the least.
No worries.
So I'm staying away from all that stuff. Is there anything else we need to discuss?
Where are we going to find money?
Just
Yeah,
one thing,
good luck. Jeremy?
we should commend Anthony for being able to join the meeting on his own with his own device. So
Yeah,
warrants a big applause.
Definitely. And we can say a happy early birthday to Jeremy because his birthday is in 2 days. So happy birthday,
Oh.
Jeremy, in 2 days.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
That's right. Nice hat.
Anything else, guys?
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. I'll be making my Guinness pie for dinner tonight.
Thank you all very much for being here and for all the work you do. I really appreciate it.
Next meeting,
And the next
21st.
meeting is on the third Wednesday.
21st.
April 21st.
Yeah, April 21st at 9 a.m. We're all good?
Great.
Don't use all your food coloring.
Anything else new and exciting in the world? All right, Kayla,
Yeah.
thank you for setting everything up. Oh, and
No
by the
problem.
way, did you all know, and it was just me, Kayla, where did you tell me we could see the most up-to-date agenda for our meeting rather than you sending it to us?
Yeah, it's right on the website. So anytime you ask me to add something, instead of bombarding everybody with multiple agendas, I just list the most recent one right on the website. So if you go to clearview.ca and then into the committee meetings calendar, it's right there. You can scroll down to the date and click it.
Pear?
Just one parting comment directed at Patty. If you're stuck for the next meeting, Patty, I want you on the beach in a beach chair with a water background, please.
And Patty, you're not getting 1 ounce of sympathy from us, by the way. You've had your vaccine, you're in a Bermuda, you're not in winter. You're having a wonderful time.
It's the luck of the Irish.
And Gail, would you say that again?
Clearview.ca.
And then
Clearview.ca.
Yep, and you just go to the committee calendar and find your committee and click it.
Okay.
Thanks, Kayla.
No problem.
have a good day.
Can I just
Peter.
get whenever you guys are ready to adjourn, I just need a mover.
All right, somebody move to adjourn the meeting.
I move to adjourn.
All right, seconder Tom, all in favor. Bye. Bye-bye, guys.
Happy thank, yeah.
Bye now.
Happy St.
Happy
Patty's Day.
Patrick's Day.